Hello. Welcome to the Pinfall podcast. My name is Liz. I'm joined by my ebullient, effervescent, exciting, extremely good-looking co-host, Marcus.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Pete's.
No, I don't know where the hell that cat is.
Welcome, Milam. Welcome to the podcast. And welcome everyone else watching.
Hi, Milo.
This is WarGames!
I just got, stuck to my eye.
WarGames.
Meh.
Wah.
I had a good time tonight. I thought that this was a really good WarGames.
You just thought that because of, certain events transpired. But I enjoyed it too. I definitely enjoyed it. It was one of the best NXT takeovers that I've ever seen. And personally, I think that the two WarGames matches were kind of not the best that we had today.
I think the women's left a lot to be desired. I think the men's left a tiny bit to be desired. And also, to be totally fair, I think it was a lot of how the camera stuff worked today.
Well, I think both were excellent. Everything was amazing. But the singles matches and the triple threat that we had today were just so goddamn amazing.
The triple threat left my brain a little bit like, okay.
But I think just the way that WarGames matches are designed is inherently flawed, because what if you can't pin anybody and you can't have it submit anybody before everyone's in the cage? What's the point? Just to weaken them?
I think the funny thing is that I watched I've watched WarGames several times now. And more recently I watched the most recent WarGames prior to this one, right when we first started doing the podcast, and I was very much into it. I thought it was really cool. And I didn't think about any of that, and I feel like starting this podcast 100% made me think it's fucking stupid.
And Milam agrees. What we were talking about before was that it should be an elimination style match, and that's absolutely 100% correct. Because imagine the first two people are in the ring. Say we had Pete and Kyle. Pete immediately pins Kyle, and then everyone else in the cages are just staring at Pete standing in the cage alone. That would be awesome.
Right. We also discussed this while we were actually watching WarGames, which it's I think it would be more interesting if it were sort of Survivor Series style, where it's two of our guys have been killed now, and we have to go in against three of their guys.
Yeah.
With one person.
It's entering a
fucking pain in the ass.
Entering a pit of sharks.
Right. I think it's just because I love WarGames more than anything, and part of it has to do with the fact that it's so fucking weird that it's a 3-on-4 up until the last guy gets in.
Yeah.
It's it's stupid as shit, but I've always loved WarGames.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only reason I noticed that that's kind of annoying is because I'm watching it out and I'm what do I do this whole fucking time while I'm waiting to find out if I win or lose?
But we should get into our pre-show before we dive into the matches, which is wrapping up our predictions.
I'd love to. Let's wrap them up. Let's just wrap them up.
So, Liz, as tonight's winner, with one with 4 correct predictions and 1 incorrect prediction. Some would argue 2 incorrect predictions, 3 correct predictions. But...
Okay. Okay.
Well, I had...
Just because I have one stipulation.
You basically had 2 predictions for 1 match. In a triple threat, you picked 2 winners. 2 people to win out of the 3. That's like saying with Tommaso and Timothy. That's like with Tommaso and Timothy. I was like, I think Tommaso will win unless Timothy gets the pin.
But the thing is that when I made that prediction, the moment during the SmackDown podcast, I genuinely thought you'd be like, that's fucking stupid. You're predicting 2 people to win here. I genuinely thought you would do that and wouldn't let me do it. And then you did, so I was like, okay.
You see, my brain
and
was...
I rocked out with my cack out.
My brain was looking at it like, okay, I make dumb predictions. I make, like, silly predictions all the time in addition to my regular predictions, so whatever. But after the podcast ended, I was like, wait a minute, that's just picking the other person to win.
Austin Theory really pulled through for me.
But let's not spoil anything else. Again, I had three correct predictions. Liz had 2, or 3 correct, 2 incorrect. Liz had 4 correct, 1 incorrect. So I have to finish, for those who don't know, I have to finish 2 cans of hard seltzer before the podcast is over. Not that bad. We were generally right in this pay-per-view. Liz just has to go through
WarGames is a pretty easy one to lose because there was only 5 matches, I think.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, you and I choose at least 2 of the same ones. So
yeah,
just for the best because I've had a lot to drink tonight. So.
And you have finally dethroned me after 2 pay-per-views. 2 or 3?
I hate that you say finally dethroned, as if I had not won the 90% of the podcasts or pay-per-views prior to when we first started doing punishments. I won so many of them. I just didn't get any fucking recognition
right now. Your audio is really peaking.
Well, I'm really not talking much louder than I normally do when I yell.
That's the thing, you're yelling.
Normally, I yell a lot during the podcast.
Not as much as now.
Oh, fine, I'll stop yelling. Anyways, it's just, when we first started doing this, like, for, like, the sake of, like, winning on the podcast, prior to then, I had won so many of these damn pay-per-views. And then you started winning them, and it became a thing on the podcast, and now it's like, it was impossible for me to goddamn win.
Yeah. And I'm sure there were champions before the first belt that was made.
I was just about to say that, at the very least, I did not think I was going to win this one.
Well, I thought I was going to win, so congratulations. You still have to give me a punishment.
Oh, I'm ready. I don't know if you... I figure you'll probably want your punishment, like, around, like, best ofs.
Oh, okay.
It's really not that bad. It's more for my personal enjoyment.
All right.
I promise you, it is not that bad.
Okay. All right. Then let's move on.
I'm going to make you swallow 14 acetaminophen.
Okay. That's fine. Move on.
Oh. All right. Let's get into the matches.
And promos. There were 2.
And I didn't mark down. Oh.
I marked them down. It's okay.
Okay. Un momento, por favor.
What's going on?
You know. Worry about me.
Oh no, you're gonna get a lot of outrage for that wrong color paper on that sign. Oh no.
Hey, Siri. Okay over there? Okay, buddy?
There we go. There we go.
No. No.
What?
Oh.
The people are just watching, seeing you groan, and not knowing what's happening at all.
I'll explain in 5 seconds. Give me like one whole second to.
And in that meantime, I'm going to guess what Liz is doing, and she probably opened up all of her porn tabs on her laptop. And they all just started playing and giving her computer viruses. She's getting a ton of pop-ups. She can no longer see me. I'm probably gone on her screen.
I can see you. It's just I had to restart and repair my AirPods earlier today. And in order to, for whatever reason, in order to repair the AirPods with your Mac, I have to enable Siri. And she heard one syllable that sounded like her fucking name, and she turned it on. I said, nope. No. And so I said, and she responded with the same fucking thing. And I said,
I hope
I'm about to die.
Everyone has noticed that whenever we do a normal episode of the podcast, like a Raw, SmackDown, NXT, it's always business as usual. But as soon as we do a pay-per-view, one of the more fun ones, one of the more exciting ones, the bigger ones, Liz is pretty much like, this is her first time doing this.
Aww. Had a little bit to drink, let's be honest.
So do you want to get into the matches and promos, or just continue? Okay.
Real quick, as far as promos are going, are you going to talk about the commercial that we saw for something that might happen in the near future that is not starting with a K?
No.
Can we talk about that at some point?
Wait, starting with a K?
Not starting with a K.
Oh, then no. If it's...
I do want to talk about that.
If it's an event, then no. If it's a person, then yes.
It's a person. We saw a commercial. It was similar to the Charlotte Flair commercial that we saw last main roster pay-per-view.
Oh, no. No.
I do want to talk about that real quick, because not right now, but maybe after this, because I think that's when it aired. Just because that was weird.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. So we start with the woman 4v4. We both had Team Shotzi.
Oh, yes, we did. And
somehow that was our own fucking fault. So, cheers, brother.
That is drink number 1. Let's jump into this.
Yeah, I don't really know what the fuck happened here. So we started with Dakota. Ember then says, I'm out first. I'm going first. Shotzi clearly does not agree with that. There's a knee strike to Ember between the rings. Then we have like Slugfest 2020 between Ember and Kai. Kai gets a sleeper on Ember, and Ember takes her fucking down with a massive throw onto the ground. And then I don't know what this was countering, but I know Kai lifted Ember up, and we got a sick fucking head scissors from Ember that we have not seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Ember looked better than I think than I think she has in the last 3 NXTs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair assumption to make right there. If the sign falls over, that was because the cat is under it. Hi. Okay. She's up between the 2 legs of the tripod now, trying to get me to pet her. That's what I expected. So after that, and mind you, we've been treated to some really sick fucking head scissors as of lately, in light of what we've seen recently that with ones that have not connected at all. And then it was about downhill from there for Ember. There was a kick to the face of Kai. Her legs got taken out. Ember then sent onto her. There was an overhead kick to Ember. And then another attempt at a head scissors to Dakota. She got none of Ember that at all. I think she got none of Dakota on that. I think she got Dakota's hand. I think that was about it.
Yeah, even I think it was Wade said didn't really catch much of that.
Yeah. Which really sucks because like we saw such a good counter from Ember in the beginning, and then he had that, and I was like, oh, okay. So Ember then slams Dakota into the cage. Dakota slides down the fucking metal, which looks really painful. Ember goes up to the top rope, but Kai kicks her in the face, stopping her. Kai goes to drop Moon, but misses incredibly. Kai then goes between the rings, sends Toonies into a charging Ember Moon. She goes up to the second rope, and we get a backstabber off that second rope to Dakota. That was just so fucking stiff and goddamn cold. It looked so good.
I also just want everyone to know that this was, what, a 45-minute, hour-long match?
I don't know how long the women's was, but I know that the men's was probably around 45 to an hour.
I think this was about the same. So, sit tight, everyone. Recapping this will take a little while.
I took somewhere around 7.5 pages of notes on this particular takeover versus the 3 pages of notes I normally take for like SmackDown. So.
All right. So. All right.
To be totally fair, it's just the 4v4s. Everything else was pretty short in terms of duration.
All right.
And I had to really edit myself on the men's because I realized I was taking so many notes, and it's very hard to pay attention to 8 men at one time.
All right. Then enough chit chatting. Let's get back into it.
So Ember goes to the top rope. Kai kicks her, stopping her. Ember then goes to drop Moon. She misses. Then I missed a page notes here. But Ember gets the backstabber. Looks fucking nasty. Shotzi comes out next. Shotzi goes and gets a toolbox and a crowbar. She jumps in. There's a drop kick to Kai from Shotzi, and then a bulldog to Kai, as well as a knee strike. We then get a senton onto the back of Kai from Shotzi. Kai slams Shotzi's head into the cage. Ember kicks Kai backwards. There's a step up enziguri to Dakota from Shotzi and a suplex to Dakota into the buckle. Give Kai and Shotzi on the top rope, or on the second rope rather. Ember punches Shotzi accidentally. I don't know how it happened, but I watched it happen. I was like,
it just looked like her fist slipped off of was it Dakota's back? And into Shotzi's head.
That's fair. And mind you, we are 2.5 pages in, and I'm only on the first 3 people that came out, so that's why it took so long with the women's. But Ember takes Kai up onto her shoulders, and then Shotzi lands a missile dropkick on Kai, sending her all the way down to the mat. Raquel is the next woman out. Shotzi and Ember meet her at the door. A clothesline flattens Ember, and then a kick to the face of Shotzi flattens her. There's an elbow to Ember from Raquel, and a whirlwind slam to Ember. We get a failed head scissors to Raquel from Shotzi, which ends in a powerbomb into the steel cage. Dakota gets up onto Raquel's shoulders, and then is used as a weapon. Raquel knocks her around, hitting her feet into the faces of Ember and Shotzi. Raquel whips Shotzi into the buckle, and Kai goes off the top rope of the ring to take Shotzi and Ember down. We then have Rhea in. Raquel knocks Dakota in the head accidentally. It is kind of funny, though. She picks up Rhea over her shoulders and turns her, and in the process of turning her, smacks Dakota with Rhea's boots, which I laughed at. Kai gets up onto Rhea's shoulders and is slammed downwards. There's a clothesline to Dakota from Rhea and a dropkick to Dakota from Rhea. You don't see that often. Looked fucking awesome. God, I love Rhea Ripley so fucking much. But there's a kick in the face and then a facebuster for good measure onto Dakota. A jawbreaker off the shins of Raquel from Ember. And then Shotzi goes off the ropes into a Panama Sunrise on Raquel. Rhea picks up a tool from the toolbox that Shotzi loaded in, which is a mallet or a sledgehammer. And by sledgehammer, I mean a Fisher-Price sledgehammer. She hits Dakota with it a couple times and then takes her stupid fucking belt off and just uses it to ragdoll Dakota Kai around the fucking cage. Raquel and Rhea make fucking eye contact across the two rings. An incredible fucking shot.
I just want to say, going back to the toolbox spot, that was the only moment we see any kind of use out of that toolbox. Not even the crowbar that Shotzi specifically brought out, separate from the toolbox. None of that was used. And as soon as the sledgehammer was knocked out of Rhea's hand, that was it.
Right. And also for the sledgehammer to be so, like, if it were anything but a sledgehammer, I think I would have been like, oh, I might believe it. Because it was a sledgehammer, I was like, eh. So, like, the way it bounced, like, I understand that if you throw anything hard enough, it'll bounce. The way it bounced made me 100% be like, that's plastic. Okay. Anyways. So Raquel and Rhea make eye contact and then they start brawling and I said, I'm not as straight as I thought I was. Oops.
You make this joke every single time Rhea's on NXT.
I won't make it anymore. I'm sorry.
Joking around.
Fine.
Yes, Mylum, I definitely agree that both the big weapons, the sledgehammer and the cricket bats, were kind of pointless.
I wouldn't even say that the cricket bat was the big weapon for the men's at that point. It should have been, but
if we're talking weapons, not tables or chairs or anything. And Mylum made a good point that they don't have like a satisfying sound, which is like kind of important.
And to be totally fair, if shots or if somebody had used the fucking crowbar, I would have probably been more like, oh shit, okay, we're doing this today.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was a sledgehammer, it felt very like Looney Tunes, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh. I don't believe you. Especially because the first thing that the sledgehammer does is Rhea slams it into Dakota's midsection. I was like, I genuinely do not believe that you would be allowed to break somebody's ribs tonight on live television, so I cannot believe that is a real sledgehammer. Sorry. However, after a wonderful moment of Raquel and Rhea making eye contact, Toni gets out. She gets some kendo sticks. There's a suplex to Rhea from Toni, and then a turnbuckle is exposed by Toni because Toni apparently has been training with Nia Jax. Rhea gets slammed into that turnbuckle. Spine fucking first, right into that exposed top turnbuckle, and I said, oh my god. Ow. Have you ever been hit like straight in the back and you're like, well, I'm paralyzed now. So there's no coming back from this.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly how I felt when I watched it. I was like, yeah. Oh. You just like want to like curl up backwards into the ground. There's a suplex to Ember and then some kendo sticks to Ember and Shotzi from Toni and Raquel. Dakota whips Rhea into the side of the cage. Shotzi goes up to the top rope. Dakota Kai goes up to the top rope. Rhea meets Dakota. Rhea meets Dakota. Toni meets Shotzi. Dakota goes into Rhea's shoulders, and then there's a facebuster to Dakota from Ember, who brings her down from the top rope. And then I believe a suplex on Shotzi from the group of Raquel and Toni. It was really hard to pay attention, take notes for two actions that were happening at the same exact fucking time. I really only paid attention to the Rhea, Toni, Dakota situation, but I apologize. Anyways, Io finally is released from her cage. This is where it gets so fucking annoying, I nearly clawed my goddamn eyes out. Because Io goes and decides, I'm going to load in literally everything that is under the goddamn ring into the fucking cage. And she loads in some ladders. She goes to enter. Raquel slams the door shut. There's a counter to the back of Shotzi from Raquel Gonzalez. Io gets the door back open and loads in some chairs. Raquel grabs the chair. Io kicks the chair into her. Regardless, Raquel still kicks Io out. Tony then holds the cage shut with Rhea's belt that she took off many, many moons ago. And Io tries to climb up the side of the cage, but is slammed into and knocked backwards when Shotzi is slammed into the side of the cage from the inside. And then Candice comes out. And when Candice comes out, Indy comes out. And Indy attacks Io because Indy has nothing else to do in her life besides be a lackey. That's fine. Indy then locks the cage with a chain and a massive lock. After Candice finally gets in, Candice tries to pin Shotzi, but the ref is like, match hasn't started yet because there's not everybody in the fucking ring.
You see, I didn't even think that was the weirdest part of the match, because we'll get to that in a second. But I kinda thought it was fun, like Raquel trying so hard to keep Io out, because it's like, all right, you want some time to keep the numbers advantage. That's understandable. But also,
yeah,
like Indy showing up was lame. I did like how locking Io out was paid off with Candice trying to get the pin and not being able to get it because Io wasn't in the ring. But I do think that Indy showing up was lame. Using the belt was lame. And I did kind of like Io climbing the cage. But her climbing the cage was the weirdest part for me, and we'll get to that once you reach that point.
I think my thing for the most part here was that, like, if it were just Raquel, it'd be fine. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can waste all your energy trying to destroy the 3 members of 4 on that team in order to keep Io out, but one way or another, you're going to exert all your energy, and then Io's going to get in still fresh. What is the point?
Which is why I think the WarGames system is so flawed.
Also, if Indy could just, I don't know, develop a spine and lose the fucking neck brace.
I wanted to see her get, like, betrayed so hard today. I wanted to see it.
I wanted to see that happen last Wednesday, because I felt when, like, Indy wasn't chosen, that was last Wednesday, I think. When Indy wasn't chosen for the WarGames team, I was like, oh shit, like, this is what's gonna happen. Yeah. I was like, this is what's gonna happen, like, this is how it all falls apart. Then it didn't. I was like, oh, alright, well, okay, sure. Anyways. Anywho. So yeah, Candice tries to spin Shotzi. It doesn't matter. The match hasn't started. Io is revealed to have climbed the far side of the fucking cage. She stands on a little platform, puts a trash can.
Why? Why?
Puts a fucking trash can over her head and jumps down onto literally all the women. Not just Team Candice. Team every single woman in that ring. I said, oh, baby girl, okay. sure. Which wasn't the worst trash can move of the night, to be fair.
That was the worst one. I really enjoyed Dakota's. I really did. Because
that one I was like, oh, Io's dead.
Exactly. Because it looked like it worked. This made no sense. But when Io got trapped inside the trash can later on, that was the funniest thing I've seen.
I watched that and I genuinely, like, I was worried because, like, you know, when you bend metal, sometimes it can crack open and, like, get jagged. I was like, oh my god, Io's gonna have a goddamn like trash can piece inside her fucking gut.
They
Yeah, stressed about it.
Dakota shouldn't have tried to pull her out of it. She should have had big brain
Yeah.
and kept her inside and pinned her while she was inside of it so she couldn't kick out. And then somebody could come over and knock Dakota off to keep the match going.
I know. I get it. However, personally, in my opinion, this was not the worst trash can move tonight. She jumps down. It's a fucking nightmare. Io then gets out of the trash can, post-mortem, takes the Fisher-Price sledgehammer to everybody. There's a DDT to Raquel from Io, a 619 to Tony from Io, and then Shotzi splashes down onto Candice. Rhea slams Tony into the cage. And then there's a moonsault off the top rope to Raquel from Io. Raquel gets held in place by Ember and Rhea as that happens in order to make sure she does not move. Dakota then launches Rhea into the cage. Candice uses the Gargano escape on Ember. There's a bridge sub on Tony from Shotzi. It's kind of a who's going to tap first. Spoiler alert, nobody fucking taps. We get some chair shots to Candice. Then there's some kendos to Tony, all from Shotzi. Dakota Kai hits Shotzi with a chair, and Io hits her with a dropkick. There's a boot to the face of Io and a double stomp to Io from Dakota Kai while Io is in the fucking trash can. Did not see her put the trash can back on, but that's just me. And yeah, so the double stomp basically crushes the trash can, and Dakota's like, holy fuck, I cannot get her out of the trash can. I said, hey, just based on like knowledge, maybe pulling the person from the wreck isn't the best fucking choice. I don't know.
Just keep her inside. Pin her while she's inside of it.
The whole point, like, if you're in a car accident, you're not supposed to fucking leave the car until, like, the ambulance comes. Leave the trash can until medics come. Don't trust that shit. Anyways, there's a chair shot to Ember from Dakota, and then some more to Dakota from Ember. Ember goes off the top rope into an eclipse on Dakota, who is positioned on two chairs. From the first angle, it looked like Dakota Kai probably should be dead. Second angle made it look a little less lethal, but still, I don't trust any movements on two chairs, personally. We get a Storm Zero to Ember onto the trash can. Holy fuck, cat's in here now. Io breaks the cover. Candice then suplexes Io, sends the trash can lid into Rhea's stomach, and then kicks her in the head. We get Shotzi going up a ladder. She sends Candice down onto some chairs that lay below. And then Candice grabs a chair to protect herself while Shotzi stares down at her and sees her do such things the entire fucking time. She literally watches her put the chair on her torso. She looks down and sees that. If I had looked down and saw that, I would have been like, oh, I'm not going to jump down now, interestingly enough. Anywho, Shotzi still does it. Shotzi sentons right down onto that chair on Candice's torso, which goes right into Shotzi's back. Rhea then pulls off a facebuster onto Dakota. Io gets the over the moonsault onto her. Then Tony spears Rhea into the cover. It's broken. Io breaks the cover. Rhea then lifts Tony and sends her throat first into the top rope. Io goes up top again. Rhea tries to protect her move, but Raquel slams her into the fucking cage. Raquel then grabs Io and powerbombs her through a ladder. And then Team Candice fucking wins.
Yep.
That was something.
Alright, so moving on.
Do you want to talk about the quick commercial?
No, yeah.
Thing happened between now and the next match.
You mean for the future? Oh no, for the person.
Yeah, I think it happened here. I don't know what it means, and I don't know why they did it. Do you want me to introduce or do you?
I'll introduce it. So It's not much. It wasn't much to describe at all. It was just a black screen with Seth Rollins being panned across left and right, you know. Generic vignette moves. But it's Seth with a flaming border across the bottom and the WWE logo at the end. Very ominous, no descriptions whatsoever, no dates, no words of any kind. Just Seth. Just Seth. Now, flames are very reminiscent of his Beast Slayer persona. And Seth came from NXT, which is probably why they aired it at WarGames. But why? What does it mean? What do the numbers mean, Mason?
Because they had the flames, I was like, burn it down. You see, we're going to get that back. However, because how much people want that to come back, because I know it's not just you, it's not just, in theory, I want that too. If we're not doing anything with the Messiah storyline in a way I want it to see, or in a way I want to see happen, I'd rather us go back to the burn it down days. But because it's been like joked about so much by people who really want to see it come back because it seems so out of reach, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But also, why put fucking flames?
And I mean, the weird would be so weird if he said that he was taking a break. If he hadn't said he was taking a break. Because unless they're teasing something for Royal Rumble, which is like 2 months from now, one month from now, that actually makes sense. When is Royal Rumble? January?
It's not 1 month from now. It's probably a month and a half, I'd say, because I think it's gonna be end of January. I think it's like January 30 something, or late 20s or something.
Kind of makes sense. I'm starting to get it now. Now that I realize Royal Rumble's in January. What? Why are you trying to invalidate what I'm saying?
I'm not invalidating it. I'm saying that it wouldn't make sense because this isn't. If this were TLC, it would have made sense. Because it's not TLC, because it's NXT, it almost makes less sense.
But it's like we just saw him at Survivor Series. We shouldn't be seeing teasers of him right now. Unless he's going to be returning to NXT or something.
But that's, I mean, we're on the same page here. Whether it looks like it or not. We're on the same page because I think it makes sense that it makes the most sense that Seth would be coming back at Royal Rumble. Becky is like due apparently any fucking day. Imagine you want to deal with that plus a couple weeks after that. It makes more sense that he'll be back after the holidays. Why are we teasing that at fucking NXT? And mind you, it would be one thing if it was like just a generic SmackDown promo. But it's not. With Seth Rollins, somebody whose last movements were Sheamus, kick me in the fucking face so I die vibes. Yeah.
Unless this whole resurrection thing, because it seems like a resurrection type thing, is going back to where he started, NXT. Being resurrected, kind of like being reborn where he was born, which is NXT.
May I suggest something that's not going to be popular between either of us? I think we both just really want people that we love in terms of wrestling to come back to NXT because NXT is a better brand.
It is. It really is.
I genuinely believe that 9 times out of 10 when we're like, oh, well, maybe this guy's going back down to NXT, it's like, because we just want everyone that we really like to go back to NXT. But I mean, the main roster sucks a dick.
I mean, think about it. Who is there to challenge Karrion when he takes the title back besides Finn? Who? No one. No one in their right mind would be able to take him on except someone like Seth. This is just spitballing, and we should start moving on to the next thing. But I think this is him coming back to NXT. I mean, Finn did it.
Okay, so in the same way that like I was just as excited when Drew and Sheamus were both put on Raw together, I'd be super excited for Finn and Seth to be on NXT together. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not saying that because I don't want it to, because I would love that. I just don't see that happening. I think that this was just a really weirdly placed fucking promo. Maybe we'll have news about it tomorrow, to be fair, because this is one of those things that I think Wrestle Talk would talk about. But I think it's a pipe dream for both you and I, babe.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what they have to offer.
We've got about a month and a half to find out, so.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really only 6 weeks, which feels even weirder to say.
But getting back to the program, we have a little vignette with Finn telling us to enjoy tonight. But as soon as Wednesday comes, all eyes will be back on him. Which I assume that means him and Karrion will be back at the same time. And Finn will be defending the title against Karrion and lose so that Karrion can take the title back as he should. Because Triple H fucking loves heel champions. As we will see today. But then we have Tommaso Ciampa versus Tim Tam Thatch. Tommy versus Timmy.
Tommy versus Tim Tam Thatch. Arms and muscles ready for the match.
This was a fucking match. Holy shit.
There was no right for this to exist tonight. This was so goddamn good.
I literally, I said in the prediction podcast that this would be a lame-ass match because this feud is just starting out. So nothing's really gonna happen. But fucking everything happened just between these two alone.
This match, like, this was fucking wrestling, dude. Like, wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of assumed that it would be a good fucking match just because Tommaso's a good fucking wrestler. Timmy's a good fucking wrestler. Makes sense. I didn't even expect this. Even from the optimist point of view, I didn't see this fucking happening. We started the match with a lot of grappling, as we could have expected with these two.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really kick off until Tim Thatcher sent a knee into the side of Tommaso. Timmy went into the armbar on Tommaso, but Timothy was against the ropes. His back was against them, so it wasn't allowed. He was out at referee, I think. And then Timothy decided to break Tommaso's ankle, which I didn't care for. From a viewer's perspective, didn't like that so much. Tommaso manages to get up, starts punching the chest of Timothy. Tommy then stomps on Tommaso. Tommaso stomps on Timothy's ankle, slams his knee into the mat, and then throws him from the ring. There's an uppercut to Champa, and then I didn't understand this, but Champa managed to beat down Tim a little bit. Timothy decides done is done. Suplexes Champa. Gets a sleeper hold on Tommaso. Tommaso ends up grabbing the ropes. But Timothy then... Okay, so... And you told me maybe I'm just saying this because it's just Drake Wirtz and I didn't care for him. Or I don't care for him. But it seems like Timothy and Drake don't have the best blood right now. Careful. So Ciampa grabs the ropes. Timothy then gets yelled at for going after Tommaso too much. And just kind of like raises his arms like, oh god, okay, fine, I'm fine. I'm not doing anything. Timothy then slams Tommaso into the apron and he snaps Tommy's neck backwards. By backwards, I mean like just slams it into the apron. As he's doing that, Drake Wirtz puts like a hand on Timothy's chest, like to hold him back from whatever the fuck he was about to do there, which I just didn't understand, because we've seen a lot of referees like seeing like their tag teams getting involved in matches and shit like that, where they're like, "Oh, don't do that! Stop! Don't do that!" But they don't do anything. But this time, like, it was the legal man fighting the legal man, and Drake Wuertz tried to stop him from doing it. I don't know.
I mean, I've seen that happen before. Wrestlers putting their hands, or refs putting their hands on other wrestlers.
I feel like I've never seen it, so maybe I'm just like being sensitive.
You're just paying attention to Drake.
Ugh. Curse. Anyways, ignoring Drake Wuertz best I can. Timothy then manages the belly to belly to Tommaso. There's some chops to the chest of Tommy and then a kick to the head. Slaps Tommaso so hard he fucking crumples. Champa tries to go and avoid the double underhook suplex that Timothy is setting up. He drops Timothy backwards. They begin exchanging blows for a while. There's a clothesline that takes Thatcher down and then a suplex to him. Tommaso attempts the fairy tale ending to Thatcher. It doesn't work. There's a double throat chop that breaks Timothy free. Thatcher then takes Tommaso down. I don't know how to spell this or how to pronounce it precisely, but the thing that you and I were fucking around doing that resulted in me getting a rug burn on my arm, where he puts like his arm under your throat, more or less. I think it's called a gravit. Sounds like what they were calling it. Tommaso starts going limp from this. This is the typical sleeper hold from Tim Thatcher. But Tommaso starts going limp. He manages to find it within himself to spear Timothy out. There's a knee strike to Thatcher, and then another running knee strike. It's a sleeper hold on Timothy. Then there is a German suplex to Champa twice. We get some failed suplexes from Tim, and then a failed Widow's Bell as Timothy pulls Tommaso's neck down onto the ropes. We get an attempted backslide to Thatcher, but Thatcher grabs the rope. He begins being chomped on the ropes. It looks like we're setting up for another Widow's Bell, but instead we get a punt kick on Timothy. Finally, we do get the Widow's Bell. Tommaso wins. Mind you, at one point, and I didn't make this note, at one point, Tommaso knee strikes Timothy right in the side of the head. So Tim Thatcher is bleeding literally everywhere out of his fucking ear for the entire last 3 minutes of the goddamn match.
And he saw it too and was like, hell yeah.
And at one point, Tommaso had a hold on him that like flooded his ear slightly. And you could see that it was pushing more blood out. So then Tommaso had blood all over him. Timothy had blood all over him. And I was like, boys, I think we have a problem. At one point, Wade said, I think that he may have busted up Tim Thatcher's nose too. And I was like, please say that's not true. I can only handle so much tonight, sir. However, I thought that was a fucking match.
Mm-hmm.
I really love this shit.
Milam said Thatcher's best qualities, he makes it feel like a real fight, a real grappling contest. Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's why this match felt so hard-hitting.
Honestly, if you told me that, like, Tommaso, like, stole $100 from Thatcher earlier on in the day, I would have been like, oh, this makes sense. Sure, I get it. I loved it. I've said this a million times before, I think, and I'll say it one more time, if not a million more times. There was never a time where I watched a Timothy Thatcher match, and I'm like, I'm bored. Never. I always love this shit. He's so good. He's so hard-hitting, and Tommaso's so fucking raw that it's perfect. This is an ideal matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And this match ended, and I thought this is like the best NXT match we've ever gotten in a long ass time. But after that, also we both picked Tommaso Ciampa, so we both got that correct. Also, our fancy predictions were, I predicted that this would be a no contest, thinking that somebody else would come out to kind of interrupt this feud. But that did not happen. And Liz predicted that Malcolm Bivens would come out with a student of Thatcher's, but that also did not happen. We just had a Raw wrestling match. And you know what? Good.
Yeah. I think I would have been more upset if any of our fancy predictions had happened.
Yeah. But we're moving on to Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes. To the moon.
I didn't highlight any of my notes for this. I did not realize that until just now. So fucking cross your fingers.
This is going to be longer than a WarGames match.
We both chose Dexter, so good for us. So Cameron comes out. Cameron has brought his own fucking strap. And he says, it's this strap or no strap. And the referee asks Dexter if he's cool with that. And then Dexter says nothing. And the referee's like, all right, I'm sure he's fine. So we use Cameron Grimes' strap tonight. Cameron immediately tackles Dexter before Dexter can even get the strap on his wrist. They fight for a while. Dexter finally tackles Cameron, punches the shit out of him, gets the strap on. Cameron's not so pleased about this. Grimes gets tossed in the buckle and then clotheslined. He rolls out of the ring. Dexter follows him. Grimes then tries to climb out of the fucking ringside area, but is pulled back in and then uppercutted in the goddamn throat. Dexter slams Cameron into the fucking ether of the goddamn barricade. Quite literally knocks the barricade almost over. I don't know if he actually knocked it over entirely, but it wavered. It fucking wavered. Slams him into the other barricade with slightly less force. Cameron finally rams Dexter into the non-plexiglass barricade. Drops him over the side. Dexter tries to come back, but is punched. Cameron then yanks him over the barricade, which the camera angle for this move was fucking hilarious. Dexter is then launched into the timekeeper's area while Alicia looks like she's fucking terrified for her goddamn life. Cameron puts the sack that the strap that WWE has provided for them came in. He puts that sack over Dexter's head. And sweet Dexter can't manage to get the bag off his head somehow. You know, it's one entrance, one exit, and he's just grabbing at it and can't manage. Whatever. Loomis finally slams Cameron downwards into a spinebuster, gets the sack off, tries to tie Cameron up against the post, but Cameron yanks him into the metal beams. There's a soccer-style kick to Dexter's jaw, and then a second one, a third one. Dexter catches him on that third try, then yanks Cameron Grimes off the apron, making him bounce on the little floor outside of the announce desk. Dexter begins to unload on Cameron Grimes, whipping him with the fucking strap. Cameron German suplexes Dexter into the top turnbuckle, gets a steel chair, hits Dexter a couple times. Grimes goes for that power slam, but is caught and suplexed. And my God, did we get a fucking kip up. I finally watched it. I actually got to see it. I was not staring at my notes this time. Thank you, God. Dexter is then up on the top buckle. He gets yanked down. We get a Puma tackle from Cameron to Dexter. Dexter ends up sitting in one of the chairs that Cameron was originally slamming around. Grimes goes for the cave in, but Dexter catches him. Cameron gets tied up in the fucking ropes. Or by ropes, I mean the strap. Sorry, I didn't mean ropes. But he gets tied up in the strap. Dexter then grabs the strap, pulls it so he trips Cameron, sending him face first into the fucking chair. Very shocked that it didn't end in like a fucking Undertaker-esque skinning the entire middle of your fucking forehead. Dexter Lumis gets his sleeper hold on Cameron, which I don't think had a name prior to now. I could be wrong, But we finally get the name iterated multiple times. The Silence gets that sleeper hold in on Cameron. Cameron tries to break free out of the strap, but Dexter takes what's left of the strap and pulls it over Cameron's eyes, knocks him the fuck out, pets him a little bit, as you do when you kill somebody. I thought it was really sweet. It was really nice.
I want to acknowledge something Milam said in the chat, which is, back to sound, Dexter's whips didn't sound good at all, but Grimes' did. I think I have some reasoning for that. This might be just me being a Dexter Loomis mark, but when Dexter takes a whip, he sits there and takes it. Cameron Grimes moves around a lot. And I think that's just his character being like wily and like a little bit cowardish. So that might have a lot to do with it. It's more skidding Grimes while it's just hitting Dexter straight on. I could be wrong, but that's what I noticed. And that might be an explanation for it. But yeah. I very much enjoyed this match. I think Dexter winning was the icing on the cake. And getting a name to that move is perfect. If Grimes had won, I would have hated this match, honestly.
I figured Dexter was going to win. I just do understand though what you're saying. Cameron Grimes has it's a weird talent to have. But Cameron Grimes is quite good at making, when he whips people with the fucking straps, sound very loud.
Yeah.
Dexter is not quite so good, which is weird because Dexter's usually pretty good at selling literally everything that he does.
He is.
So for him to suddenly not be so good at whipping somebody is weird. But
like I said, I think a lot of it is just Cameron moving around a lot, and so it's hard to get a direct hit on him.
The one perk I think we really got out of this match, aside from one, Dexter Lumis' first takeover, which is awesome. But two, which is something we should also acknowledge. This was his first takeover,
which is weird.
And mind you, not in front of a million people, whatever. Yeah, and like not in front of a live crowd or something like that, but like or live crowd for real. But still, very exciting and a really good match for your first takeover. Mm-hmm. And a match that I think a lot of people really liked. And I think that it was perfect that it was his first takeover match with somebody that he's friends with. I think that is like just perfection.
Yeah.
You know, like, obviously, again, we've talked about this a million times. The best matches are with people who are like friends outside of the ring. And we know that he's friends with whatever the fuck Cameron Grimes' real fucking name is. So I really like this match. I thought this was really fun. And watching Cameron Grimes run fucking scared is truly my favorite thing.
Yeah. I think this match was perfect. But I will not say it's the best one, but we'll talk about that once we get to the bests of the night, so stay tuned for that. Would you like to move? Oh no, this is me actually. So we went back to Wade and Vic for a little bit. And suddenly the lights started flickering. But before that, we had a little bit of a teaser of an NXT event. What was it called? New Year's... What was it?
Evil!
New Year's Evil. Which is happening January 6th, 2021. Feels like 2021 is months away, but nope, it is less than 1 month away. Wow. Okay. But
I'm just gonna go fucking off myself real quick if you don't mind.
But glad to be out of this garbage year.
Yeah, like 2021 is gonna make a fucking difference. You're sure?
There's hope. There's hope. What? What?
You know how I've spent 5 years trying to make these fucking lights stick to the goddamn windowsill?
They just fall.
And it's falling again!
Anyway, once we return back to Wade and and Vic, lights start flickering, and we cut to a clock. Tick, tick, tocking. And there's a crow as well. And if you don't know who that is, you're not familiar with NXT. And that's okay, because some of you might not be. And that, my good people, is Mr. Karrion Kross and his beautiful wife, Scarlett. Was it Bordeaux? Is that her name? Bordeaux? Bordeaux?
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, like the red wine that I can drink.
Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, who have been out due to an injury on Karrion Kross. They were the NXT, or Karrion was the NXT champion, but had to forfeit it. But now he is coming back any second now. Could be this Wednesday, could be next Wednesday, could be New Year's Evil. But either way, he is coming for Finn's NXT championship. And then we move on to Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano versus Leon Ruff for the North American Championship.
I genuinely thought that Karrion was coming back tonight. When they showed that, I was like, this is why, because I did the news piece where I was like, well, Karrion's coming back any second now on Friday, because I was like, I assume he's coming back at WarGames because that makes sense. Why else would Triple H make this comment? However, Triple H said, fuck you, you idiot. And I said, that's fair trips.
To be fair, there would have been no place for him, really. It would have just been him or Scarlett coming out and saying something and then walking out. It would make more sense if Finn was doing like a monologue or something and then Scarlett walks out.
That's fair. I guess I probably should have considered that. Because I'm sure because the whole thing is that like Finn was like, well, the prince is coming back on Wednesday. And I was like, thank God we're not doing the cat metaphors anymore. But in regards to that, I was like, well, you're coming back. Why are you coming back? So hopefully he'll come back and it'll be. I've missed him. And by I've missed him, I mean I've missed Scarlett so much. I've missed Scarlett so much.
So do you want to get into the triple threat?
I genuinely don't, because I don't know what fucking happened here. We have Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano versus Damien Priest. Mark's prediction was Johnny Gargano. My prediction was Damien, unless Ghostface is revealed. And if Ghostface is revealed, it's going to be Johnny. Because I was smart, and Mark didn't stop me, and that's his own fault.
You weren't smart. You made two predictions. That's not smart.
Why didn't you stop me?
You're just undecided.
I'm drunk during the podcast. You aren't.
You're just undecided. That's not smart.
You could have stopped me, though. You could have been like, no, that's ridiculous. You can't choose two people. And I would have totally backed down because I don't like confrontation. I would have backed down so far from what I chose. But you didn't stop me. I thought you would.
But that's like...
I really thought that I would...
That's like, I don't know who to pick between Dexter and Cameron, so I'm going to pick them both.
I really thought that you would stop me, and you didn't. I genuinely thought... honestly... When you started questioning me while we were watching it prior to the actual match happening, like you were like, okay, so if this happens but this doesn't happen, then you don't win. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't win. I really thought that you were going to be like, wait, that doesn't make sense. You can't choose two people to win. Before the, like, I genuinely would have backed down up until when Johnny won. I would have. Yeah,
but we had it in the podcast already. So when I thought about it afterwards, I was like, it's already in the podcast. There's no point in backing out of it now. And I
if you 100%, if I ever make a prediction that you think is fake as shit, you can call me out prior to the podcast and I will recant on the podcast. I don't care.
Okay. All right.
However, you let me do this. And that's on you. I'm just a sneaky little bitch. I love you so much.
If it wasn't for this, we would have tied.
Well, what would we have done if we tied?
Rock, paper, scissors, probably.
Oh, well, I would have lost again, so. Anyways, thank God I won. Mark has such good luck and I have such bad luck that there's no way in hell I would have won. Rock, paper, scissors. Anyways. So, we both won tonight. And I won by the skin of my fucking teeth. Ooh, thank God I did not make a stipulation as to when Ghostface would be revealed, because I genuinely would have made it so it was in match. Anyways.
So do you want to talk about the match or no?
I do, but I want you to be happy while I talk about it.
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
Aww.
You made a stupid prediction.
You let me make the stupid prediction. There's two people here. It's a system of checks and balances.
Yeah, and the chat was also here, and they didn't say shit.
That's not on me. That's on Milam.
I don't think Milam was even here on Friday. Oh, wait, maybe...
Milam was here on Friday.
He was.
Mike wasn't here the whole time, I don't think.
Right,
but Milam was here for, I think, the predictions.
Milam, you're a mod. You gotta stay on that. You're not only the mod of the chat, you're a mod of the podcast, too.
Liz mod, if you will. Which, Milam, I really appreciate you letting me get away with this. Anyways. So.
I'm gonna revoke those mod permissions.
You. To be fair, you can also mute me. That's on you.
I can mute you, but what kind of podcast would I be running if I just started muting you left and right?
Probably a more successful one.
Oof. Self-burn.
Anyways, so Damien tosses Leon away. He gets super kicked by Johnny. Johnny rolls Leon up multiple times with no luck. There's a drop kick to Damien to keep him out of the ring. Leon does a little bit of his fancy little rope work, pulling Johnny down into a head scissors and then a kick straight into Mr. Gargano. Leon Ruff looked fucking amazing in these few moments. Damien tossed Leon Ruff away to beat on Johnny. Ruff came back in and was once again tossed away by Johnny, or by Damien. Jesus, my hair looks like fucking ridiculous. There was a dropkick to Johnny and Damien from Leon off the top fucking buckle. Looked awesome. Was really impressive. Damien then gets beat up by Leon. There's an enziguri to Damien from Johnny and Leon at the same time. Johnny dives out onto Damien. There's a springboard spear into Leon from Mr. Gargano. Leon is then thrown into the plexiglass barrier. When Leon gets thrown into the plexiglass barrier, he scares somebody that's behind that barrier so much that they knock over the other plexiglass barrier. And then Leon Ruff is so fucking injured, in spite of the fact that he landed on the padded barricade, that he gets taken out. So now it's just Johnny and Damien, and I kind of was pissed off at this point because I was like, so you're going to give Leon this title. You're going to give him this whole push where he's like, I never thought this would be possible. And then you're just going to take him out so he drops the title no matter what. That's fucking ridiculous anyways.
Okay. I have thoughts on this.
Do you know?
Because giving him a title was just a way to get him in the spotlight and kind of get him to the same level as every other superstar. Now that he's dropped the title, they can put him in storylines and give him shit to do besides just be in this 3-person mix. He can do other stuff now, which is great.
Right, which my problem wasn't so much as Leon dropping the title, more so than it was Leon dropping the title because he wasn't there. With Leon dropping the title, it was more so like, okay, whatever. Like, we get Leon, we get title dropped, whatever. Leon's here, it doesn't matter. That's what I care about most in terms of this, is it's like, I want him to actually, because Trips is running the show, I don't think that we're going to have a Vince moment. I don't think that Leon's going to be just like left in the dust after he drops the title. I don't think it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't want it to be like, oh, Leon's hurt, so he can't defend the title because he was never going to be able to defend the title anyways. Anything like that, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
However, Ruff gets taken out by the refs and the medics. It's just Johnny and Damien. There's a failed one final beat to Damien and a failed reckoning to Johnny. A spinning heel kick that kills Johnny Gargano, and then a sliced bread to Damien. Damien manages the bell clap on Johnny, and then there's a kick to Johnny's head and a clubbing clothesline to Johnny. And then we notice the refs are looking at something. It is Leon. Leon is back. He dives onto Johnny Gargano, drop kicks Priest. He bounces onto the ropes and dives onto both Johnny and Damien. We get a cutter to Johnny Gargano, and then a huge clothesline to Johnny. No pins at this point. There's a boot to the face of Leon, and then a 2-for-1 flatliner from Damien to both Johnny and Leon. Damien then throws Leon into Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano throws Damien into the post, and then lawn darts Leon into Damien. Leon then gets a crucifix pin on Johnny. My fucking God, if that was not a 3 count, I don't know what was, because apparently Mr. Referee forgot how to count from 1 to 3. Fine, I suppose. I don't know. Gargano manages the Gargano escape on Damien, but Damien frees himself and then helps Leon, At this point, Damien was tied up in the ropes. Gargano escape was on Leon. Damien freed himself in order to free Leon from the Gargano escape. There's a spinning heel kick to Johnny. Damien throws Leon right into a super kick from Johnny and then looks horribly sad about what he's done because he was also the one who killed him when he threw him into the plexiglass. Thanks, Damien. Sorry, I've been interrupted.
Did you mention when sorry, I kind of blacked out during this part. When Leon was initially carried away. Did you mention the lady that just randomly knocked over another plexiglass barrier?
I did.
Okay. Okay, because that was the funniest thing that happened this entire pay-per-view. Just one random barrier just fell over because some lady got scared.
I think it was a trainee, and in the heat of the moment, like before you notice what happened, part of you said, it looked like the heat from Leon hitting the initial barricade took out the second one. No, it was another person. Said y'all didn't plan this well at all.
It's just so funny. I'm pretty sure she wasn't a trainee because she didn't seem like she was like
the trainees.
She was, but I feel like they mixed the trainees into the rest of the crowd because they had that one girl right behind the commentators.
No, because real quick, I know for a fact that if you were standing on the ramp personally, the left side is where all the fans are, and normally right behind the announce desk is where more fans are. Tonight, I see you. I know. Normally behind the announce desk is where fans are. Tonight, it looked like it was more so trainees as well. But I know for a fact that on the right side, it's normally empty minus actual NXT/trainees because that's where Shotzi was at one time.
Well, all I know is
I think she was.
She might have been family of trainee because she definitely didn't look like a wrestler of any kind, and the way she
Possibly not. Yeah.
The way she reacted to it didn't seem like she was in the business.
It's possible that she was not a wrestler, or if she is a trainee, maybe this was her first time.
Maybe, yeah.
But I know it wasn't just like a basic S fan. I can tell you that much. Because I know for a fact the right side is definitely for NXT alone. Because that's where they had Shotzi come in. That's where they've had like Damien and Ridge come in. Because it's a safe place away from all the COVID germs that they let into the fucking CWC.
Yep.
Mamma mia.
Anyway.
Anyways. But yeah, so there's a spinning heel kick to Johnny. Damien throws Leon into a super kick from Johnny. Looks really sad about what he's done. Then there's a spine buster to Gargano. Suddenly Ghostface comes out, but it's not just Ghostface. It's 3 Ghostfaces. 3 fucking Ghostfaces. Damien takes all of them out, and I said, oh, good. Well, that challenge is over. Maybe Damien will win now because Damien has clearly triumphed over the Ghostfaces. No. There's 6 Ghostfaces. There's 6. 6 of them. 6.
7.
Fucking
7 if you count the final one.
7 Ghostfaces.
There were 6, and then one came out with a pipe.
What Retribution knockoff shit is this? I need to know.
So Milo just said he's been behind on NXT and binged a lot of it yesterday. But why is Ghostface a thing? How is it a thing? So let me explain real quick. Ghostface was first introduced during Halloween Havoc, helping out Johnny Gargano win the North American title from Damian Priest. That was right after Indy Hartwell was introduced into the feud, or into the storyline, helping out Johnny and Candice. And when it was revealed somebody in the roster had COVID, so we all thought that might be a placeholder for Indy. Somebody in this big costume. Then Indy was revealed in a separate Ghostface costume during a match between Candice and Shotzi. And so we thought that was the end of Ghostface. But then, during another episode of NXT, Candice and Indy get in a car being driven by Johnny. And in the back seat, sitting next to where Indy is about to sit, is another Ghostface. This time with a much more manly figure. And then, fast forward to now, what we thought... Oh, actually, fast forward to maybe the next episode or 2 episodes after, we get a little interference from Ghostface just appearing in the crowd, scaring Damien Priest a couple times. Kind of interfering. And then fast forward to now, when you thought there was just one, there are now 7 Ghostface, maybe 8. Who knows? And that's the lore of Ghostface.
I just started with one Ghostface. A man, if you will. A man Ghostface. A male Ghostface with no titties, which, yeah, maybe I'm sounding like a bad person. Maybe I'm sounding a little J.K. Rowling's right now. I'm sorry for that. I'm just saying. What looked like a man Ghostface, and everyone was like, oh, it's Indy. And I said, no, it's not. It's not. I know what Indy Hartwell looks like. I know her body. I'm half into women. I see that shit. I know what titties look like. However, that was not her. Anywho, we start with one Ghostface. We start with one, and then Indy is revealed as one Ghostface. Then the second Ghostface is revealed, and I said, oh, makes sense. One woman, one man. Easy enough. One aids Johnny, one aids Candice. Yeah. Makes total sense. I was less mad about the Indy thing. And still mad about Indy, but different story.
That's when we started predicting, could be Austin Theory, could also be Andrade. Right. I threw out the prediction it could be Dabba-Kato for some fucking reason.
I don't know why you did that. That's on you. However, it made sense that it could be Andrade because Andrade is a very, I don't want to say stocky, but like he's his chest is wider and like somebody like Adam Cole, I guess. He's got a pretty broad chest. He's not quite stocky, but he's a little more rectangular. And dude Ghostface definitely had a wider chest. Which is very easy to tell when they've got a fucking cloak on. So that made sense because we also haven't seen him in a while, and I know that he had the elective surgery for like something that was going on in his like body, I think his legs or something. And he's kind of been just shunned at this point. So I was like, oh, maybe that makes sense. Austin Theory also kind of made sense. So, however, 7 Ghostfaces does not make sense.
Yeah, that ruined this match for me. Was just seeing like all the Ghostfaces, and that reveals a whole faction behind Johnny and Candice, when I just wanted them to be just a power couple. That's all I wanted. Just a power couple that could hold an NXT championship and an NXT women's championship. That's all I wanted. That's it.
Right. Like a power couple, not a power small country.
Not a power retribution.
Fuck me. That's exactly what I thought this was supposed to be like, because it felt like Retribution, where it was like, oh fuck, now there's 3, okay, whatever. Now there's 6.
Also, I do want to quickly just say, not related to this match at all. A little bit of news that Arturo Ruas has undergone surgery on his arm after he got injured fighting, I think it was Kushida.
So we're not going to see him for a couple of months.
Probably not.
This is hell.
We were so excited to see him again after he was reintroduced to NXT. Because, you know, it was another big player in NXT. But
he's good.
He is good. He really is. He's like...
Timmy. Tommy.
He's Brazil's guy. Brazil hypes him up so much.
To be fair, though, I think I really want somebody to fucking watch all these podcasts and just take a shot every time I say to be fair.
Yeah.
However, I do think that if he sticks around with NXT, he won't have to worry about being stuck in catering because he's a pretty good guy. I think that he'd probably be back pretty quickly, assuming he stays in the black and gold. And hopefully he does. I honestly think that if Dabba-Kato stays with Raw and Arturo stays with NXT, no offense, Dabba, Arturo has made the better choice.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anywho,
yeah.
let me finish this match because I'm very close. But yeah, so 6, 7, 900, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, ghost face. Damien catches Johnny and choke slams him into the ring. Leon Rose splashes down onto Johnny. Damien breaks the cover because he wants the pin, because he wants the fucking title. Then the knee strike turns Leon inside out. There's a failed reckoning into a super kick, and Damien is just beginning to kick the absolute piss out of Johnny. Ghostface then hits Damien with a steel fucking pipe. There's a super kick to Leon, a DDT to Leon. Johnny Gargano pins him, wins. I was upset because I said, I don't want to lose again. I keep fucking losing. And then Ghostface numero uno took his little fucking mask off, and it was Austin Theory, and I said, holy shit, Austin Theory, please don't make me happy. So I won, but did I win?
It's like, with Austin Theory, I would have been happy if it was just him, just his Ghostface that came out and assisted. That would have been fine. And Austin Theory being revealed makes sense, so I can't be mad about that. Andrade would have made me pop, but this makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But 7 goddamn ghost faces is too much.
It was ridiculous. I felt like I don't know, man. It felt like Retribution, and I don't need to see a second Retribution. I can make enough fun of the Retribution we have. I don't need a second one on NXT.
Right.
Like, what are you telling me? Like, now there's going to be like is Johnny the new Mustafa for NXT or something? Like, how are you getting, like, unless you're going to reveal that all the ghost faces are all these people that, like, have been slighted by NXT, and somehow it's also Shane Thorne, like, this was unnecessary and ridiculous. And they could have had Ghostface come in, scare Damien enough. Damien still gets his balls up and fucking fights Ghostface, but Ghostface still manages to get that steel pipe out on Damien. We could have had one, and it would have been fine. I didn't need Damien taking on 6 Ghostfaces and still getting done in by the one Ghostface.
And
it's ridiculous.
I feel like this completely ruins that promo of Johnny playing the game of life with Ghostface. Because it's like, where were the other 7? Like, it's frustrating. It ruined the match for me. It was still a hell of a match, I'll say.
Unless they reveal Ghostface to be like 6 NXT superstars or NXT UK superstars that, like, we all love and care about and have not seen in a while, I don't care. am I gonna care?
Probably not.
Like, exactly. That's why I don't think that it's going to be worth their time. And in NXT's defense, this is probably going to be the one time that one recent time that they've done a promo that has not gotten over on me.
Right.
So,
I
can't be that mad.
But moving on to the final match of the night, the last WarGames match, the main event, the Undisputed Era versus what NXT is saying is Team McAfee, but what everyone else is calling the Brand.
It was weird to call them Team McAfee.
Yeah.
Because, like, they do have a name technically.
Yeah.
It was one thing to call, like, it Team Lorraine, Team Shotzi. But, like, these guys technically do have a name.
Well, even I think it was Vic or Wade. Either of them were saying they were calling them the Brand.
I genuinely went into this match knowing I was going to lose. I 100% thought that this was where it ended for me because it did not make sense to me that Undisputed Era would win because they've won so many WarGames matches before. That they would win in this instance against a legitimate just
one syllable at a time.
Against a legitimate stable. It didn't make sense to me that they would do that. So I genuinely, not being an asshole, thought that I was about to lose this.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense story-wise for them to lose because it puts an end to their feud. Because we don't want to be like the main NXT doesn't want to be like the main roster and have feuds last like 3 pay-per-views. But having this feud end means that the Brand can have Oney and Danny hang on to the NXT tag team titles. They can have Pat go for the North American title, and they can have Pete Dunne go for the NXT championship. Whether or not they'll hold those titles is another thing, but having them all kind of have their own paths is something cool to see. What?
I was just going to say, it almost makes sense that they lost this. Because if they're stuck in a feud with a stable that has no titles, what will they ultimately gain from it?
Exactly. Nothing. What would Undisputed Era gain from it? Nothing.
Right. I think that it's better off that it's ended the way it did, because I think if the Brand had won, because Undisputed Era is higher up, technically, in terms of, like, favor, unless you're CM Punk, I think that if Undisputed Era had won, it would have been more of like a, well, shit, like, now we have to prove that we're worth something.
What do now? But also,
but I really,
I just want to say this match, everything that happened here is all because Pat McAfee called Adam Cole short.
Fuck you.
Just like how the Ray and Seth feud and Murphy dating Aaliyah just happened because Murphy congratulated Seth on having a child.
Ray did.
Oh, yeah, Ray congratulated Seth on having a child.
I am really happy with how this ended, though. And I thought this was a really good match. I think, okay, in terms of 4v4s, it's very hard to say this is a really good match, because, like, it's 5,000 things happening all at once. If you could see, there's a cat here. But I think it's... How do I say this? I think it's hard with a 4v4 and no crowd.
Right.
I think the crowd really helps. I thought this was better than the women's 4v4.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. However, I think the secret weapon to this really is Pete and Kyle.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it coming down to them, really helped. Milam agrees that Pete was the MVP. I think this also suffered.
Milam also likes Pat McAfee, so I don't know how I feel about his opinions right now.
I like Pat too. In all honesty, and you will probably agree to this, Pat McAfee is the best celebrity wrestler of all time.
Okay, that's different.
His competition.
He's a celebrity. I'm just gonna say that he's a celebrity who's actually given his effort into trying to become a wrestler, whereas Gronk more so was like 24/7 championship. I'm here, whatever.
But also, technically, Ronda Rousey is a celebrity wrestler. And Kurt Angle is a celebrity wrestler. When he was introduced, he was a celebrity.
Are you trying to say that Pat's better than Kurt Angle?
I think so. At least when Kurt started out, comparing the two where they were at, if you're comparing Kurt now or slightly before he retired to Pat McAfee now, definitely nowhere close. But when Kurt started out, Pat starting out now.
Right. Okay, so let me divide my lines here real quick. I don't think that Pat McAfee is a bad wrestler. In fact, I think Pat's a really good wrestler, and even in spite of the fact that like he might not know that much about wrestling in general, he doesn't have that long of a career, and I think a lot of knowing about wrestling comes from being a wrestler. I think that you've got to have a lot of lived experience to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of that, I think that he takes a lot of risks that are also very safe, which I respect a lot.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that later. He did a lot of stuff tonight, or at least one thing that sticks out in my mind. That was really fucking dangerous, but did not hurt anybody, it seemed, and I respect that a lot. I really do not like people coming in, Ronda Rousey in particular, thinking that they know everything about everything and then hurting people. I don't like that at all. Because that's like somebody coming into your house and being like, I know how to use your stove, and then setting your fucking wall on fire.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, no, you don't know how to use it. However, Pat has a really good storyline written for him, admittedly. I think that his dickhead storyline is a good thing for him in terms of the fact that he's kind of an outsider, and I think that's how people would have treated him in the first place. Like, oh, you're just an asshole that comes in because you got money.
Yeah.
My gripe, mostly, is just that I don't think he's anything special. I don't think that any of his promos are special. I don't think that any of his heelish personality traits are special. I think that he is just any other Elias or Corbin that has ever existed, any set that's ever existed. Hang on, 1 second. I think that adding Oney and Danny in, as much as I love Oney and Danny, because I really do love the two of them,
mm-hmm.
I don't think that they... I don't want to be... I'm going to sound like an asshole, and I feel bad saying that because I do love them. I just don't think that they're the right fit. I feel like this is just a ragtag group of dudes that have money and can join.
That's the point. Like it. That is the point of this whole stable, though, is that Pat had money and he bandaged together some nobodies and Pete to rally behind him. And also, this is Pat's second match, so I think it's a little unfair to compare him to people who are veterans in this field. It's his second match and he's already pulling off insane shit.
No. Hang on. I never said that. I'm not comparing him to anybody that's a veteran or anything like that in terms of moves. I think that Pat's doing a great job in terms of wrestling. I really do. I think that what he did tonight alone proves that he has been training and studying as well as anybody could in this short period of time. So I want that out of the way right now. I do think that Pat McAfee's a bad wrestler. If I said anything that implies that that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is just that I think part of me wishes that he was written a little better. I understand the whole money aspect. I do think that's a very compelling motive. I just think that I think that it would be more compelling if it were with. Again, I'm gonna feel bad saying this because I do love Oney a lot. Danny Burch, I don't know. Maybe wear a mask. Anyways, but McAfee, cool shit. Pete Dunne, holy fuck. I just think that Oney and Danny feel like a weird choice, I guess, for this like all-star brand of like people who are like killers, more or less. Oney, maybe if he chose one of them, it would have made sense, but it feels like there's something. After having watched enough Oney and Danny, just in spite of how NXT and 205 Live treated them, it feels a little weird for them to suddenly be in this like position, I guess.
But if you're talking about how 205 Live treated them and how they've been treated all over NXT, it makes sense because what they've been saying in promos this whole time is that Danny and Oney have been in this business for so long and have been kind of thrown to the gutters, haven't been given shit. And so Pat's trying to give them a chance in this all-dominating stable. And also, it also aligns with the fact that they killed Ridge, the guy that Pat hired in the first place, so why not hire the guys who killed the guy you hired?
There are arguments for and there are arguments against it, I think. But there is something, and normally I can pinpoint what annoys me about a wrestler. With Bobby Lashley, it was just that like he was this mecha dude basically that like could kill anybody with a fucking full Nelson, which confused me. With Jeff Hardy, it's just the whole fucking Jeff Hardy story
And
that we
also the
had
fact
to
that,
endure when he came back.
and just him as a person, everything about him.
His character annoys me. It's there, like normally I can pinpoint what I don't like about wrestlers. And with the brand, I just don't know. There's something about them that I do not fucking like at all. However, I do wonder, I think you said this when we were talking about it earlier. What would happen if Ridge hadn't injured himself?
We wouldn't have Pete. It would be Pat, Ridge, and Oney and Danny. Because Ridge is in the same boat as Oney and Danny in that he hasn't been given much. He's been shoved to the side this whole time.
Yeah, okay. Because that's something that I don't think they expected, and I think just happened randomly, and they were like, "Fuck." That does make sense. However, are we getting to the match?
Real quick before we get there, I want to say alternatively, maybe, and this is like my ideal situation, maybe we would still have Pete, but Danny would have thrown Oney to the wayside, and we would have had Pat, Pete, Danny, and Ridge. An all-British team plus Pat. You could have had Danny and Ridge as a tag team.
Alright. That's fair. That's fair.
I would have
been pissed about that.
Well, it makes sense, especially since Oney had a whole single storyline with Timothy Thatcher where Danny was not present at all.
And to be fair, Oney's a pretty good technical wrestler.
Yeah.
I hate saying this because it is NXT, and like what NXT does wrong is technically what every other main roster does right.
Mm-hmm.
But Oney would be a really good singles wrestler, I think, because he's a very technical wrestler. He would be really good against people like Ridge, Karrion. Karrion's coming back, obviously. Even Kyle, Finn.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that, because there was an Oney Timothy match that I just recently watched that was pretty cool. He's one of those people that I think has been kind of hindered by a tag team. I feel bad about. But.
Maybe he was meant to go to the main roster if Ridge hadn't died.
You know what? Honestly, based on his personality, if we took Lars and put him over here in the trash and took Oney and put him in Lars' spot, psychopath.
Imagine some Matt Riddle, Oney Lorcan matches.
Gladly.
But yeah, we should jump into the match because we are almost 2 hours into the podcast.
Honestly, it's midnight 07 and that's 2 hours in, fine. Because 2 hours in tomorrow means that we've been here until 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So we start with Kyle, which was not what either of us were expecting. And Pete, which again was not what either of us were expecting. And we're grappling for a little while. There's Kyle gets slammed spine first into the mat by Pete. Kyle then tries to choke Pete out with his little legs, and I said, I get that. Your legs are a source of a lot of strength if you haven't learned that. I have. Use those gams. There's an armbar to Pete. Pete breaks up pretty quickly. Kyle tries to start breaking Pete's arm, but Pete kicks him in the head. Pete then decides to break Kyle's hands in retribution. I want to use that word, but I didn't think of anything else. So, Pete then stomps on Kyle's hand. There's a knee to Pete's face, and then like a heel hook, I guess, according to Wade Barrett, on Pete. Oney then punches Kyle as he gets in. There's a leg sweep to Oney, but Pete takes Kyle down to sides with a knee strike. There's an elbow to Kyle's chest. There's a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like somebody's just crinkling a plastic back of my ear.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You alright?
Are
Are you having like a stroke or something?
Talk later. I'm not good with distractions, dude. Anyways, there's a heel hook on Pete. Oney gets in, he punches Kyle. Then Kyle takes Oney's legs out, but Pete takes Kyle down with a knee strike. There's an elbow to Kyle's chest from Oney. Then, again, a new suplex that I have not heard about, which is the half and half suplex to Kyle from Oney. And then Pete gets Kyle into a surfboard submission. Oney pulls Kyle face first into the mat. However, we get a dragon screw to Oney and then to Pete. Kyle goes up top. Pete hits Kyle, but it's no use. He manages a leg drop out onto Oney. And then Pete, like a fucking, like, it was like he had his fucking, like, radars locked on. Drop kicked Kyle's goddamn knee. And the camera angle, because we had, like, the little dude meerkatting in the fucking median of the two rings, you could see it was spot fucking on. Which I thought was impressive. Then we get Bobby in. God bless. So sweet Bobby. Bobby baby boy. Suplexes Pete into Oney. He's just so fucking hyped up. Hey dude, if there is one thing that Bobby Fish loves, it's a good fucking WarGames. It is a good fucking WarGames. He's hyped the fuck up. There's a spinebuster to Oney. Pete kicks him in the face. Bobby then lifts Pete into the median, and Kyle knee strikes him. Bobby then lifts Oney into the air. Kyle kicks him in the midsection. There's a team DDT to Oney. Pete then jumps on Kyle's back, and Bobby brings him down because nobody touches his boy. Anyways. Kyle and Bobby then start working together. Kyle has Oney in a submission hold. Finally, then we get Danny Burch. Danny Burch is in. Pat wanted to go out first. Danny said, no, stay back. So Danny brings in a big old orange bag you don't know what it is. You assumed it was a baseball bat. It was essentially the European version of baseball bat.
Yeah.
If you will. It's a cricket bat. Kyle dodges it. But there's two in the bag. So Pete gets one, Danny has another. Danny starts talking a little too much while threatening. I believe it was... I don't fucking know. Danny starts threatening either Kyle or Bobby. But he talks too much. There's a heel lock that causes Danny to tap out. But I'm sorry, sweet prince. Match hasn't started. He ends up breaking up the hold. Then sweet Roddy Strong. Roderick Strong comes out. My boy. My baby boy. He comes out. He's immediately tackled by Danny and Oney. Just right up. He comes out with so much fucking fire. And immediately... There's no camera angle to describe it either, because it's just... You just see chain link, Roddy entering, two figures, and just Roddy going back, and you're like... Vibes, brother. Peace out. Nice to see you. Strong takes both the men, begins running off the ropes. There's a drop kick to Danny and a backbreaker to Pete, and then a nice fucking belly to back to Danny as well. Yes, sir.
Sorry, not related to this match at all, but T-Bar just tweeted.
Jesus Christ.
Saying, yeah, I was wondering where all of our Retribution reinforcements went. I guess Gargano stole them to celebrate Halloween or whatever. Oh, man, T-Bar.
There's not enough liquor in the world.
T-Bar, my god.
Anyways. Right on. So, we then go into... figuring out how to read my fucking notes. So there's a dropkick to Danny, a backbreaker to Pete, and then a ballet back to Danny as well. Roddy begins kicking Danny upside the head and hitting all three men, because Danny's on one side of the ropes, Oney's on the other, Pete's at the end of the ropes, and Roddy's just going in like, elbows, splash, elbows. And I was like, my boy, my sweet boy.
Also, I have a little injury update from Triple H regarding in a post-show call about WarGames. Candice LeRae is being checked out now with an X-ray. No official update, but they fear it's a broken arm.
What?
Yeah, Candice might have a broken arm. Also, Bobby Fish lacerated his elbow. They're checking to make sure it's not worse than that. But he didn't say anything about Timothy Thatcher. Somehow.
Okay. Sure.
And everyone else had a lot of bumps and bruises.
For Tim Tam Thatcher, I think injuries are fearful of him. So.
Yeah.
However, Bobby is a 43 going on 44-year-old man. Okay. It looks like I have like a little ponytail coming off the side here.
You mean you don't?
Jesus. This is why I don't like washing my hair. It gets all weird. Anyways. Try to figure out where I am. So there's a dropkick to... No, I'm going to go back into this. Nope, not doing that again. Oney begins chopping onto Roddy. Pete stomps Bobby's arm. And then we get Pat McAfee. He comes out. He begins unloading Undisputed Era labeled tables. One for each boy. Roddy gets loaded onto his table. At this point, mind you, that's 3 minutes between my notes because I made a note about Pat coming out. Roddy gets loaded onto the table. And I made a note about Adam coming out because there's a lot of weird shit happening. It's very hard to take notes on 7 men, let alone 8. So my apologies. I don't feel that bad. But Adam comes out. He gets a fire extinguisher first. He extinguishes the men that are trying to attack him. Then there's a neck breaker to Burch over sweet Adam Cole's side. Pat is basically at this point the only man left alive. He managed to get up, begins punching and all that. There's a DDT to Pete from Adam. McAfee gets Adam Cole wrapped up in the ropes. Pete begins trying to break Adam's fingers. Kyle hits Pete with a chair, and then Kyle starts doing what Kyle does, I guess, best, which is screaming at Pat McAfee. Basically saying, you wanted to come to fucking WarGames, get ready for a fucking war game. And I said, can we just pin him? Maybe? I don't know. It's just me. I just have a small request that I fucking win. Adam then hits Pat McAfee with a chair. Pete attempts to suplex Bobby, but Bobby pulls him into a sleeper hold. There's a blockbuster to Bobby from Oney, then a super kick to Pete from Roddy, and a knee from Kyle. We get a team offense from Danny and Oney to Kyle, and Bobby breaks up the cover. Knee strike to Danny from Adam, and a chop block to Adam from Pat Ski. We get a figure four on Cole from Pat, but Adam reverses it. Pete kicks Adam in the head to break the hold. We get a clothesline to Oney from Kyle. Kick to the head of Danny from Bobby. Cole looks for the super kick, but is caught by Pete Dunne in a failed armbar. There's a reversey on Pete, which turns into a neckbreaker on Adam's knee. Adam, Cole, and Pete go up to the top rope. There's a submission hold on the hand of Cole. Roddy comes in to help out. Pete gets sent down onto Bobby into the table. Sorry, not Bobby. I believe it was Danny. This was when they were sent into the table, but the table did not break. I believe at this point, Roddy then dove down onto the table to finally break the table, which had not broken in the first fucking place. Cannot wait for Botchamania 423. Pat goes up to the top rope with Adam Cole. Cole sends Pat down, I believe through another table, apparently, according to my notes. Oney and Danny and Pat and all the boys began taking their time to beat on, my notes get really fucked up towards the end of this, and I apologize for that. Oney and Danny, at this point, I believe, are pretty much dead. All the guys begin taking their time to beat up whoever's left. Pat's the only one left alive. Undisputed Era begins just taking all four men to that one guy, which I thought was a very stupid fucking choice, because Pete gets back up, Oney gets back up, Danny gets back up. It's not 1-on-4 anymore, it's 4v4 again. There's a neckbreaker off the top rope to Pete. And this neckbreaker, I felt so bad for Pete, because I don't know. I've been in a position where I've been nervous and underfed and nervous, where, like, if you put your muscles into a tense spot, you shake because you're, like, stressed out and you're like, oh god, anxiety or, like, adrenaline. And sweet fucking Pete Dunne is on the fucking rope with Adam Cole, and his legs were trembling.
I think he was just having trouble finding his balance.
Well, I think it might also be the fact that it's a takeover after not being in a WarGames after not being in a WarGames for a while. It's a pretty big match. I think that might have something to do with it. Again, maybe my dude just did not eat enough beforehand. I know I've got a pretty sensitive stomach. If I eat stuff and then I get stressed out right afterwards, it could be fucking boiled rice, and my stomach will still hurt. So maybe he just didn't eat enough beforehand, because I've been there where your legs are like shaking. You're like, please stop. Kind of like to beat them down a little bit, and you're like, I feel like a fool. His legs were like just jittering all over the fucking place.
Wade said they were trembling.
And they were absolutely trembling. I hope he wasn't too stressed. He did a good job. But sweet lad, trembling all over the place, gets neckbreaker down to the fucking ground. There's a superplex to Pat from Roddy. They begin brawling for a while. Pat goes off of the top of the fucking cage. Sweet Pat McAfee And this was one of those moves where I was like, this could have been really dangerous to both you and other people, but he did a really good job of it. He went off the top of the cage onto all the men. He basically landed on his own, but either way, he managed it pretty well, which I thought was pretty cool. But Kyle then punches Pete, crumples him down. Pete just tries to break Kyle's fingers again. There's a bitter end to Kyle. And still no pin. Which at this point, it had been like about 45 minutes, and I think my brain was starting to shut off. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Just can't. Pete goes for the powerbomb, but fails. Kyle suplexes him into the median of the two rings, into the metal. It's a fucking near fall. My dude had his paw nearly down. Like, there were molecules separating the referee's fucking hand from the goddamn mat before Pete kicked out. And I said, oh my fucking God, just call it 3. Anyways, Pete gets onto a chair. Kyle goes up to the top rope again. There's a chair shot to Kyle. Adam attacks Pat. And Pat says, I hope you never want to make children, because he punches him in the goddamn balls. Pat begins setting up for a punt, but instead there's a super kick to Pat. Danny breaks up the cover. Bobby drives Danny through a fucking table. Which table? The table that was the last one set up at this point, that had Bobby's name written on it. And mind you, the metal of the table spiked out. Mid-throw, the table got crumpled, the men landed safely, but the metal spiked out. May I just say, if either of them had landed literally an inch over, one of them would have been impaled on pay-per-view television, which I personally would not have appreciated.
Yeah.
Especially because both of the sides of their necks, which I'm pretty sure the one that Danny landed into the table with, which is your jugular, I think the jugular is over here, right? So, like, I don't know. I think there's only one jugular. So,
yeah,
the metal, I mean, because Danny landed backwards into the table, the metal came out this way. He said, I'd rather not see a British man die on television tonight. Personally, my personal opinion. And thankfully, I did not see it, but I watched it in slow motion. I said, oh, God. Dear Christ, we nearly had an actual problem. Yeah. So we then get Pat super kicking Adam, or at least attempting to super kick him. But Cole ended up super kicking Pat. There was a Panama Sunrise to Pat. Somehow he still fucking kicked out. Cole then super kicked Oney instead of Pat. Oney took the bullet for Pat. Pete slammed Cole ribs first into a goddamn chair. It looked like the neck, but Wade said ribs, and I said, okay, I'll believe you for tonight. But at one point, Oney ended up with a chair on his face. Kyle fucking went off the top fucking rope, and sweet Lord Almighty, my boys fucking won. My boys fucking won. I did not expect them to. Thank fucking Christ that they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And now Liz moves on as the current Pinfall Podcast Prediction Champion. Yippee-doo-dah. Alright, so best of the night.
I think that I need to exert my punishment first, so I can have like a little bit of fun.
Oh, great. What is it?
Come in there.
Okay. Take your time.
Let me give you some pretty ponytails. It's Extreme Makeover. Mark rules.
I assume I have to take my hat off for this.
You do. Oh?
Will I still be able to wear my headphones?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Using rubber bands or hair ties? Okay, hair ties. I thought you were using rubber bands for a second. Oh, is it just? Oh, it's so
Just be in
weird.
the front.
Oh, great. Fine. The cat is screaming for those who can't hear, which is nobody. Nobody can hear. Oh my god, why are you yelling? Do you think Mother's killing me? Oh, that hurt.
If only your father had lung.
I thought we were going for the Rey look. No? Rey from Star Wars?
Oh.
Rey Mysterio, no.
We're in the.
I'm pretty sure Rey has no hair. Just shave it all off. You got a fourth, okay.
I wanted to do. You look really.
I'm so glad none of you could hear what Liz just said, because her voice didn't register in the mic at all. Yeah, the cat's in here with me now. That's okay.
Alright. I think, personally, I think you look beautiful. Lord.
And that's some retribution for you.
Oh my god. How could this happen to me? Well, anyways. Sorry about that. I slid into the chair just a little too hard and the chair said no.
God said, "Here, let me help you change the sign."
Alright, there we go. And just in time for me to fix the fucking sign too. There we go. You know why it is? It's because my wheel is right there. There we go. Okay.
Alright. Bests of the night. So, because it's a pay-per-view, there's not much choice for the promo of the night. So, I still have a pick. And it's going to be Carrion's teaser.
That's fair.
It's between that and Finn telling everyone to have a good night. There was no mention of a cat, so why pick him?
That's fair.
So,
It's first time now.
do you agree?
Yeah.
Alright, so I will say, for everything else, this will be the hardest episode ever for me to pick a best of the night.
Respect it.
So going with Wrestler of the Night, starting with the first WarGames match between Team Candice and Team Shotzi. Who else could I pick besides Io? Io put her body through the most creative, brutal spots in the whole match. Whether it be the double stomp onto her in a trash can, or jumping off top of the cage inside of a trash can. She did so much and looked great while doing everything. She was really, really something else today. And it looked like she was having a great time while doing it too. After that, we had Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. I gotta go with Tim Tam here. Not only did he look like a fantastic wrestler, but he looked better than he normally does. And he looked like somebody who literally wanted to kill Ciampa. He looked like he wanted to murder him because Ciampa is being a nuisance. Like, Timothy was fucking great, and he played with the bloody ear so well. Huge credit to Timothy Thatcher. Then we had Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes. Gotta go with Dexter. Cameron was great too. Both really, really fantastic today. I do think we didn't see a whole lot new from them. nothing outstanding. Dexter was still great. Cameron was still great. But still, it's Dexter, it's Cameron. They're both putting on their better performances. Then we had Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano versus Leon Ruff. Leon looked fantastic. He 100% did. Johnny didn't look better than his normal self. Damian, neither. Leon absolutely looked phenomenal. He was hitting all the amazing moves. He hit a really sick cutter. And his character really shined through everything he was doing. And then lastly, we had the Undisputed Era versus the Brand. I gotta go with Pete Dunne for this match. He really carried this match through everything, even when it started out slow. He made this match look absolutely amazing. And I mean, no disrespect to any of the guys in the Undisputed Era. They worked best as a team. None of them shined individually, so I can't pick them for this. If we're talking about just individual performances, Pete Dunne all the way. Pete was just he was so on top of everything. Not only did he sell moves incredibly well, but he also was just incredibly brutal throughout the entire match. But it's so hard to pick one for the whole night. Oh my god. But you know what? This might not be a favorite amongst the audience, but I am going to pick Timothy Thatcher as my wrestler of the night. He was incredible.
I agree.
I figured you would.
I really liked him tonight. I thought he did a really good job. I thought that he just showed off so much of his ability. Plus, it's really nice to get like hardcore, genuine wrestling. And I would not expect that anywhere but in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is exactly what NXT was about. I think that they honestly should have put this over the Cameron Dexter match, which I hate to say, but I think that to bill it higher than that would have been better, only because, the triple threat. Sorry.
Mm.
But I thought that it was like really fucking good, and it's exactly what wrestling is missing, and it's exactly what I think a lot of people criticize NXT for. Don't know why. AEW had the dinner debonair. We'll ignore that, I guess. Anyway. But the musical number, the song and dance.
It's ridiculous. WWE is their ridiculous stuff too.
But what I mean more so is that like the whole thing was like AEW was like, well, AEW is more for like people that miss the wrestling of yore, from back in the good old WCW days. This is like your good old-fashioned fucking wrestling. And watching it felt so good. It was so incredible, and it was just skill. It wasn't just flair. It was pure skill, and I really liked it a lot.
You know we're just talking about Timothy Thatcher, right? Not that whole match?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that so what I mean is the match was purely all of what I just said. But Timothy Thatcher is like just like such a classic wrestler that it adds to all of that. Is more so where I'm going.
Yeah. And to answer Milam's question, yes, this is the first pick of Timothy Thatcher for Wrestler of the Night.
Is it?
At least when I started keeping track and we started tweeting about it. Prior to that, I have no idea. Now, match of the night. I'm so torn here. We started off with Team Candice versus Team Shotzi, which was a great match, much better than I expected. Really something else. But I'm having so much trouble picking this and Undisputed Era versus the Brand because of just the inherent flaws with WarGames matches and how they would do so much better as elimination matches, and how they are right now is just made to just last an hour. It's like Iron Man matches. Like there's no point in them lasting this long. But otherwise, great performances, really creative spots on the women's match. Raquel absolutely put in a banger of a match. Rhea too. Everybody just did it amazingly. Tommaso versus Timothy. My God, this was much better than it had any right to be. I mean, the fact that they announced this so late into the week is just so disrespectful considering how amazing this match was. They just announced this on a whim on Twitter, in the middle of the week after NXT had already happened. But this was better than most matches we've ever seen on NXT. I mean, we had an incredible match, plus I'm going to say very subtle storytelling, in that the story was just told in their facial expressions at the end when Thatcher was walking away, and now he realized he does have a quarrel with Champa now. Like, this is where the feud starts. This is like, okay, now I'm gonna fucking kill you next time I see you. Moving on to Dexter and Lumis versus Cameron Grimes. This is like one of the better strap matches we've ever seen. Dexter put in a hell of a match. Cameron Grimes made it an incredibly creative match. I loved everything about this. Cameron is a hell of a character. So is Dexter. Everything about this was just fantastic, and ending on the silence was perfect. There wasn't a flaw in this match, I'll say. Could have been a little more exciting, because they never technically rung the bell, I don't think. But I still loved everything about this match. I think it was a little one-sided, though, towards Dexter. I rarely ever thought he was going to lose during the match. But after that, we had Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano versus Ruff for the North American Championship. This match was absolutely amazing up until Ghostface was introduced. I expected Ghostface to come and just have one of him interfere in the match, giving Johnny the win. That's fine. That's expected. Based on how the storyline's been going. But 7 goddamn ghost faces? Are you fucking kidding? No, this match was ruined. It was 100% ruined. Bottom line. And then we move on to the Undisputed Era versus the Brand, which was a hell of a match. Really great use of tables from everyone in the match. I do think it did start out very slow. And again, the inherent flaws in the WarGames matches and how they're formatted. I do think it just makes for a boring match to start out. It's kind of the Royal Rumble treatment, but also mixed with a regular pinfall. It needs to be worked on. It should be elimination. That will make it 100 times better. But regarding the match itself, everyone put in a hell of a performance. We had some really great spots. I think we didn't have as many great spots as we did in the women's match. But just talking pure brutality, I think this one had it a little more, and this one had better storytelling as well. But I'm having trouble walking away from this match thinking it was the best one tonight. And so, my pick for best match of the night goes to Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. It was one of the best wrestling matches we have ever seen. Hands down.
It is hard because like I wanted to choose the men's 4v4. However, this was a really good fucking match.
Mm-hmm.
I have to choose it. I really liked it. I thought that it was again. I sang its praises, but it was just classic wrestling, and it was a match that I didn't expect to impress me so much. In spite of the fact that I expected it to be really good,
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect it to be as like holy fuck. And I like it because I feel like what we miss a lot, especially in like main roster stuff, is like what the indies offer us, where it's like intense shit. And this felt like intense shit. I mean, we didn't even get like Tommaso doing like his weird goofy shit before the Widow's Bell or anything like that. We just got straight up moves.
Yeah.
I can't take notes on Tommaso's matches normally because it's really hard for me to just be like, well, they're grappling now and they're grappling again and they're still fucking grappling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a session later. Who knows? But fuck me. This was just such good wrestling.
And I've been saying from the beginning, from I think it was 1 or 2 NXT episodes ago, but this feud has been some of the most subtle storytelling, the most careful construction of a feud that we've ever seen, because like Thatcher's motivation in this has been so believable, and just that he doesn't want this feud. He's just like, I have no problems with you. Let's just walk away. Just get away from me. And Ciampa just wants chaos. He wants destruction. He wants some kind of feud, so he's constantly stepping in, constantly getting involved. And then this match comes, and you only see in their facial expressions how they're each feeling about this feud, and now Thatcher will come out for blood, especially since he lost today. He can't do that anymore. He needs to fucking be an example for his students. And Ciampa is just happy in the fact that he caused some chaos. But also, one thing I do very much dislike is how Ciampa was reintroduced very much a heel, killing Jake Atlas on multiple occasions. And then he comes back at WarGames, he's cheered for like a face, and Thatcher is booed like he's a heel, when obviously in this feud, Ciampa's the heel, Thatcher's the face. Thatcher is just trying to teach his fucking students. Ciampa's stepping in like, no, punch me, you little bitch, something like that. Who called the other person a little bitch? Did Kyle call Pete a little bitch, or did Kyle called Pat a little bitch?
Yes, yeah, Pat, yeah. I do think that it is interesting that that's how that happened, but I think also like at the same time it's like it goes to like vagify the lines of like what is a heel and a face in NXT. Because like Tim Tams was like, dude, I have no fucking problem with you. Please don't attack me. Like, let's not do this right now. Like me versus a wasp. Or I was like, I don't have any problem with you. Let's maybe leave this where it is. And Tommaso was like, and just dived in. However, I believe the real heel of tonight, you know who the real heel is?
Drake Wirtz.
Drake Wirtz! For fucking putting his hands on Timothy when Timothy was just trying to do a goddamn move.
Or Austin Theory.
Or
the lady that knocked down the barrier.
Drake Wirtz is on Parlor, therefore he is my heel of the night.
Fair. All right, so
Austin's very close behind, though.
So to run it back, our promo of the night is Karrion's teaser. Wrestler of the night, Timothy Thatcher. Match of the night, Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. Shockingly, a huge win from Thatcher in this pay-per-view that looked like it barely gave a shit about Thatcher in the first place, and Ciampa.
I loved it. I mean, to be fair, even though we're choosing like the same fight from our fighter or our same fighter of the night from the same fight of the night, this was a good fucking pay-per-view.
It was. It was like WWE has been killing it in their pay-per-views lately. Like Hell in a Cell was great. Everything that they've been doing, every takeover that they've been doing has been fantastic.
I was really excited for WarGames, and in the same way that I was really excited for Survivor Series, because I think WarGames and Survivor Series are my two top favorites outside of Royal Rumble, and not including WrestleMania, because it's WrestleMania. Doesn't count. But Survivor Series kind of did disappoint me, ultimately, just based on how the women's teams were announced, how the women's teams fought, and what the fuck happened with Seth. I was kind of concerned that I was too excited for WarGames. A little worried that I was going to be like so hyped up for it that like I was going to come out the other side and be like, all right. But nah. This shit was really fucking good. I was really happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
They did it again. The boys did it again, Mark.
All right, so to look back, I finished both my cans. Did you finish your can of seltzer? All right.
No, there might be a sip left here.
So Liz is currently our reigning
I did open this one though.
Pinfall podcast prediction champion, but DLC is coming right around the corner. I'm going to take that from you. Wait and see.
Probably will.
Would you like to close us out for tonight?
Oh, I suppose. Well, hello everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope you praise the Lord today or something like that. Anyways, fuck the Lord. Actually, basically, happy 7th of December. It's a Monday now. It will be Monday Night Raw in less than 24 hours. Maybe cry about it now. We probably will because we have to fucking get to bed. Holy shit. Anyways, so please join us. It's fine. Please join us on Monday. Later tonight? I don't know. Please join us for Monday Night Raw's post show. We'll be here still. We never leave. We pretty much sit in front of these cameras until the next wrestling show happens. Mark looks like an early 90s surf punk dude. Just go join fucking Sum 41 or some shit. But please join us on Monday. We will be talking about Raw. And also, if you were wondering, if you really wanted, if you were like, man, the 19th is really just, I'm really not looking forward to the 19th. I'm not looking forward to that Saturday after this coming for December. I'm not looking forward to it. If you're not looking forward to it, you can look forward to the Mike fucking Romy starting at 7 p.m. on Saturday nights, December 17th. We will be here. We will be ready to show you some fun Mike Romies. It is our night to give our opinions because we haven't done that all year. We have not once given our opinions on anything. We're finally going to give our opinions on everything in terms of wrestling, and Mark's going to talk about his stats that he has so carefully culminated. And I'm going to talk about how many times I've probably challenged Corey Graves to a death match. So,
Alright, so thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed, hit that follow button right down below. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, check out the live show. We can talk to you live in the chat. And if you're watching the live show and you missed part of this show or want to check out the other shows, the Pinfall Podcast on YouTube, go check it out there. And follow us on Twitter, at Pinfall Podcast. Follow our personal Twitters. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elaine23. And check out the Universal Pokemon Federation on YouTube. It's a combination of WWE and Pokemon. Super cool stuff. Definitely check it out if you're into it. Putting out full-length episodes very soon. You won't want to miss it. And check out my personal live stream, twitch.tv/Mark Cameron. I'll be streaming. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you won't want to miss it. With Cyberpunk coming out, we're going to have super sick Cyberpunk streams. So Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you on Monday for Monday Night Raw.